garnered so far in the first 2 preseason games, Tank Bigsby, 62 have come after contact.
It's amazing.
That is frightening.
Yeah.
I mean, that is absolutely brutal that the offensive line has been that bad. So I don't care if they're going up against guys that are going to be working for FedEx next week.
Right.
You have to assemble some Can you imagine the hangover with 16 days of talk in this city if they go out there and they put on a stinker against guys who aren't going to make the Atlanta Falcons roster?
Yeah, no doubt about it. Would you play Evan Ingram?
No.
Yeah.
I wouldn't either.
Because, again, that's another one. Brenton Strange needs 35 snaps.
He does.
I mean, he's probably not going to see that again, once you get into the regular season, assuming Ingram stays healthy.
Everyone works harder than him. He's the first one out there every day at the Miller Electric Center. He stays late. He works on his craft.
Yeah.
I'm not playing Evan Ingram.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think they've got a good team. Do they have a weakness in terms of their interior offensive line? Absolutely. But I do think that they've got a good team. And I also think all 32 have a weakness. It's just the Jaguars one may be crippling in terms of if that offensive line does not gel, particularly in the interior. But just get to the starting gate. I mean, it's one of those things that there are a lot of guys on this team that need the reps. But I mean, I would definitely cherry pick 7 to 8 players, and I'd be like, I don't need to see you.
Yeah.
I do not need to see you against Atlanta, because if something happens. Yeah, you got 16 days, but that's not going to matter if you tear your Achilles or blow out your knee, or tear a labrum in your shoulder or something like that. You're not going to be the same player. So, to me, they need to take the approach of, let's be a little conservative here. Not we don't have to be crazy conservative, but our core guys don't need to put them out there.
Yeah, I would sit out ETN. Kirk is out, and that we both have the same opinion on Ingram and ETN. I wouldn't play him. Defensively, I don't think Foye goes. They were non-committal all week, both Ryan Nielsen and Doug Peterson on Eric Armstead. No.
Why would you put him
No
out
way.
there?
You're not going to do it. Braswell, I think, to me, has been the surprise of camp.
He's been really good.
Okay, he was a bubble guy for me going in.
Yeah.
He has been, if I didn't do best of, the worst and surprise, but if I was doing the surprise of camp, I would take Christian Braswell. My second guy would be Parker Washington, but I had Washington on the 53. Okay, he's now, in my opinion, clearly the fourth wide receiver because he's played all 3 positions, and I would assume that you'll see him tomorrow night starting in the slot.
Well, and again, he needs the reps.
Yes.
Yes. I could understand it from a defensive perspective to not play Trayvon and Josh Hines-Allen, because you need to see and Armstead, but you need to see what else you have in that supplemental edge, because I think it's lackluster. So why wouldn't you take this opportunity to get some reps for a Travis Gibson? I don't know what Abdullah is exactly going to be, but, why not take a look at him? Some of these guys that you've brought in here recently, why not take a look at them? You lose Dixon, and, it seems like you're still kind of trying to piece that together in terms of what that supplemental edge rush is going to look like. Again, why would you take the risk of something happening to Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines-Allen?
No, I wouldn't.
What do you need to see in terms of them kicking the crap out of a backup offensive lineman?
And what are they going to gain? I mean, we watched them go up against Tampa Bay and that very imposing offensive line. It's almost like a setback. It's almost like, it's batting practice against a guy that's throwing the ball 65 miles an hour.
Right.
Then all of a sudden you're getting ready for a guy who's throwing in the mid-90s with some movement. So I would not do that. And to me, that's a little bit scary. We watched against Kansas City on the 4th play of the game defensively. Ryan Nielsen had a hockey shift. He substituted 5 players on the 4th play of the game. I had never seen anything like it before. We didn't see that last week because so many starters were held out of action. But I like your point here. Even if you're going to play Allen and Walker, why not mix and match? Why not? Let's see what Breland Speaks has.
Absolutely.
Put him out there with the first team and ask him to go get the quarterback. Let's see what Nasir Abdullah has.
Miles Cole should have 40 snaps in this game.
Yes.
No questions asked.
But have him play
early
with a good unit and put him in a regular game type situation. So, right now there's no depth on the edge.
No.
I mean, Travis Gibson had a nice, a nice training camp, but he didn't really show out in either one of the two games, in my opinion. I thought Coleman did against Kansas City in that week against Kansas City, but he didn't do necessarily all that much in the last effort against Tampa Bay. So I think, Jaguar fans, and I got to believe Ryan Nielsen, they want to see what they have as far as depth coming off the edge.
Without a doubt. I mean, that should be the goal of this game should be, do we need to sign Yannick Ngakoue after week one? They need to answer that question Friday night of what exactly do we have in-house? What's the plan if we lose Hays Allen or Walker for any length of time this season? Because there are decent players out there. And, again, I get it with Ngakoue. You probably want to get beyond week one if you're going to have an interest in him. And they may not. But if you sign him after week one, obviously his contract is not guaranteed, as you know, and you have all the leverage. If he's a malcontent, you cut him, you owe him nothing. As opposed to if you were to sign him today with his being a vested veteran, it would be locked in. He'd get his full contract. So I understand that. But that's whether it's Ngakoue or not, they need to figure out, do we have enough to feel comfortable navigating a 17-game season and ideally the tournament? And they don't right now, in my opinion. So again, we'll see if we'll see how it turns up. But that edge needs to show up in terms of the supplemental guys.
All right, let's hit this on the other side. I read a piece today. I almost fell out of my chair in my office. It came from CBS Sports saying that the Jaguars have the ability to trade offensive linemen because they have incredible depth,
surplus
on the offense. Yeah,
they got surplus.
They're cutting guys that other teams are going to want. I mean, this is another example of why would you ever listen to the national media when it comes to this franchise?
You can have Blake Hance for 2 1s and 2 2s.
Yeah. So I want to come back and do that. Wes Durham's going to join us later in the program. He's the voice of the Atlanta Falcons. My brand new Seminole report will be coming up here as well over the next couple of hours. I do want to tell you that Thermal Engineers is sponsoring the program, and they are hiring. They're a commercial HVAC contractor serving North Florida for more than 20 years. If you're a qualified technician or installer, on his top pay, 401k, full benefit sound, and a signing bonus. Go to Thermal Engineers, Inc., or call them at 230-1172. It's an equal opportunity employer. Thermal Engineers, Inc. Great to have you with us. Always the best way to reach us is the text line, 641-1010, brought to you by Lifetime Enclosures. Alongside Hays Carlyon and JJ LaSelva, I am Rick Ballou.
The Frangie Show
from the Harrell and Harrell studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
Hey folks, if you're looking for an automobile, this summer happiness is a brand new Chevy. Like a new Chevy Silverado from Nimnick Chevrolet. This month, you can save up to $10,000 off a new Silverado. For well-qualified buyers, you can get rates as low as 1.9% financing on all new Silverado 1500 models. With the largest inventory on the ground, outstanding cash incentives, and the best price guarantee, your perfect truck is waiting for you at Nimnick Chevrolet. Now remember, Nimnick will always give you top dollar for your trade, and for a limited time, up to an additional $2,250 in trade assistance. What a great deal that is. And ask about our demo models for even deeper discounts. Shop online 24/7 at nimnickchevy.com or visit the dealership, conveniently located at the corner of Park and Cassett. Who's got more new Silverados at the best prices? Nobody but Nimnick.
1010XL Weekly is your one-stop shop for all things Jags, college ball, preps, and more. Subscribe to our newsletter today, and you'll be entered to win free tickets to the Packers game this October. Subscribe, just head on over to 1010XL.com and scroll down to the 1010XL Weekly flash page.
Yo, if you've been following me on my bookie, you will know that I'm hitting for straight cash, homie. It's your boy E.T. And are you ready for the ultimate college football season? Using my bookie's sportsbook and casino platform, you can bet on every game and win anytime, anywhere, straight from your mobile device. No app necessary. Just click on the link, sign up, and you're ready to rock. Did you know that the average college football game runs about 180 plays? Every catch, sack, and touchdown is another way to hit that straight straight cash, homie, using my bookie. And when you bet with my bookie, you're not just watching the games, you're investing in every moment of the action. And I'm speaking from experience. A few bucks on the line can turn any regular game into one of the most exciting games of the season. So make sure you head over to my bookie. And don't forget to use promo code TintinXL when signing up to claim that $1,000 bonus on the first deposit. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with my bookie. Come on, somebody.
Jags fans, a new Everbank Performance account could be your ticket to London this October. Through the Everbank London Getaway, one lucky winner and a guest will receive round-trip airfare, hotel accommodations, and a pair of tickets to see the Jags play in London. To learn more and for official rules, visit everbank.com/London. No person necessary to enter or win. Open to legal residents of 50 United States and D.C. 18 or older. Entry period for the Everbank London Getaway Suites is from 8/5/24 to 9/5/24. To enter in for official rules, alternate method of entry, prize description, odds of winning, and other details, visit everbank.com/London. Sponsor and administrator, Everbank NA.
When all you have is a hammer, everything is a nail. I'm Dr. George Bari, and like me, I know you have been bombarded with PRP and stem cell treatments from companies that promise the world and charge prices to match. Or the surgeon that convinced you the only way to treat your injuries through surgery. At Bari Orthopedics, we offer the best PRP treatment on the market with prices that won't cost you an arm and a leg. We also have the expertise to treat your injury surgically, if that is what it entails. We can discuss all surgical and non-surgical options with you and make sure you get the best treatment available. Come see me, Dr. George Bari at Bari Orthopedics.
Tropical Smoothie Cafe here with your daily reminder to get on Tropic Time. Take 10. Sip a refreshing smoothie and manifest the your cabana side. Slade hot yoga? Treat yourself. Crushed back-to-back meetings? Get that me time. Adulted a little extra today? You deserve a vacay. You're on Tropic Time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe. And right now, enjoy our new Bahama Mama Bowl inspired by our fan fave smoothie flavor. Or try our new Peanut Butter Protein Crunch Bowl with 32 grams of protein.
Catching fish and fish stories.
What's going on here? Give me the boat. Give me the boat.
On the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show with Captain Kevin Faber. Brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss and Veterans Wholesale Cabinets.
Thursday nights at 6
on 1010XL AM.
Now that's what I call high quality H2O. If you want high quality water throughout your home, call your local water boy. We install equipment to solve any water problem. WaterboyJAX.com.
Ever wonder how you can transform your living spaces into captivating works of art? At First Coast Lighting and Fans, they offer a huge selection of high-quality products to match your desire for elegance, quality, and uniqueness. Visit their showroom on Phillips Highway at the Avenues and step into a world of quality without compromise. Discover the difference that locally owned expertise makes and let them help you experience the transformation from average to extraordinary. At First Coast Lighting and Fans.
Right now, they're on their way to ruin your day. Don't bother calling the police. They can't help. And if you're not prepared, you will suffer. Yes, it's that time of the year. Heat and humidity are attacking North Florida. But help is at hand. Call Mike Merritt's Heating and Air Conditioning. Mike Merritt has a license to chill and lets you maintain your comfort zone at a bargain price. How? Mike Merritt stands ready to help, routine or emergencies. And Mike Merritt knows emergencies can happen at any time. So with Mike, there's never any overtime charges. And Mike's team works without commissions. Merritt will never try to sell you parts you don't need. You can't trust just anyone with a truck. Call Mike Merritt, the company North Florida has trusted for 35 years. Call today. License number CAC 050384.
Who has the best lineup this season? Honda. Cars, trucks, SUVs, vans, hybrids, and electric. This is one of the greatest lineups Honda has ever had. And now is the best time to purchase or lease one. Visit your local Honda dealer now. Remember, only a Honda is a Honda.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
It's a Stanley Pools Thursday on The Frangie Show. Since 1988, the experts in pools, pavers, screen enclosures, it's Stanley Pools.
Hi, Frank Frangie in Atlanta, Rick Ballou, Hays Carlyon, JJ LaSalle was here. How you doing, JJ?
I'm great.
And I haven't seen you this early in about 10 years.
I know. I didn't think they let you in the building this early.
Well, I tell you what, I am here and I'm fired up and and I'm ready to go. A lot of great stuff. Wes Durham coming up in a little bit. College football with Wes. He is the main guy now. Has been for a while, but he'll call the ACC game of the week. Tom Luganbill has now moved to be his color analyst. So they'll get the game of the week. Of course, they don't have one this week. It is week 0. We will have something on Florida State, Georgia Tech coming up in just a little bit. All right, CBS Sports, and I do like the way they said it. They talk about position groups where you could have trades around the NFL. There were 17 trades last year in the month of August. I know we've had a couple in the last few days. Yeah, so
nothing like blockbuster. Even.
No, but there's going to be some movement, and I love the way they say it. This is from Josh Edwards. There is an important distinction that should be made. Each of these position groupings, the inclusion of a particular group does not mean that unit has high talent level or no concerns of its own. It means that other teams may have interest in the expendable depth that they have accumulated. All right, he lists 5 guys, all of which I have cut, okay? Because I cut Luke Fortner this week, although I do think the team – let's start there. I would cut Luke Fortner. I don't think the team will because he has so much experience working with Trevor, and if Mitch Morse goes down, instead of grooming a young center, I think they feel he's cost-effective, 3rd year of a rookie contract, and he does have experience. He is the backup center.
Yeah, that's why I would keep him, and because you still have 2 more years, this one and next, to kind of see if he can develop further. He does have a lot of snaps under his belt. I thought he actually played fine as a rookie. I thought he was on his way. I thought they were on their way to having their quarterback center battery for a long time, and then obviously he had a disastrous second season. But yeah, I'm not ready to give up on Luke Fortner. I would hold on to him. Again, I'm really glad Mitch Morse is here. That was maybe the best upgrade of any that they made this offseason. But as a backup center in the NFL, I think Luke Fortner is absolutely belongs somewhere between 33 and 64. And I would say he's probably somewhere, in the top half of the backups because of what you're talking about. How often do you have experience and inexpensive coincide? So, again, hopefully he doesn't play any significant snaps this year, but is able to learn from Mitch Morse. And you don't know how much more Mitch Morse is going to have. I mean, who knows if this might be his last year.
That could be a one-and-done year.
Yeah, so I would hold on to Fortner, but certainly I understand his play has got to improve.
They mentioned Blake Hance, who's really given it a go at left guard, and when Ezra Cleveland was on 100%, Hance got most of those opportunities. I mean, I just can't imagine you getting anything, even a 7th-round compensatory pick for Blake Hance. I thought his camp started – I remember him being feisty and in some battles once the pads went on with Tyler Lacey. I'm like, Blake Hance is making a name for himself. But kind of my thought is that regressed a little bit as we move throughout the entirety of camp. What did you make of him over the last 20 days?
The thing with some of these guys is, the asset is, well, they can play at a lot of different spots. All right, but if they're not quality, then you have to take that into consideration. Now, I'm not saying that necessarily for Blake Hance. I think he's improved over the last year or two. But in looking at it, I don't necessarily think you need every bench guy to be able to play tackle and guard. Let's get the best guy, and let's have some focus. Now, I get it. What they're worried about is that you have 3 or 4 of these things happen.
Yeah.
Injuries to your starters, and then you really are scrambling, and it's good to have guys that are versatile. But if it comes down to that, you're up the creek anyway.
Yeah.
So, I think in looking at it, it is going to be a difficult cut. I would keep 10 offensive linemen. So that gives you a little bit more room. I mean, again, Javon Foster's not ready, but you can't cut him.
No.
So, that's one where you're not going to release a 4th-round rookie, nor should you. And so it will be interesting to see how they piece together the 53. I don't know that there will be an offensive lineman that they cut that will have interest, but this goes back to a point. We were talking about this yesterday at practice, Rick. I mean, That's why it behooves them to release your cut list 24 hours before the league mandates that you have to make the cuts for this very reason.
Yeah, you can get some.
Just in case one of the other 31 clubs says, look, we'll throw you a 7th rounder. I mean, again, the way the process works, if you're a team that made the playoffs last year, you're so far down in the waiver priority order, you're probably not getting anybody that is competent as a player. I mean, to think that if you're, let's say, 19th in the waiver process, to think that 18 teams are all going to pass on a quality guy that got released, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, in this league, that stuff doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, if I was...
Therefore, you can give up a 7th rounder.
Yeah, I mean, Carolina, for instance, they're going to maintain the number 1 waiver claim, even though they made the trade and Chicago was able to draft first. It was Carolina's pick. So they're number 1 in the waiver priority. I mean, if I was the Panthers, I'd claim 4 guys. I mean, I'd take full advantage of that, just like we talked about with the Jaguars for 2 years. That's one of the few, perks of being awful is you get that number 1 waiver claim, take full advantage of it, and certainly teams in the top 3 or 4 will. So
I think it was Gus Bradley's first year, where after the 53 was
7
made.
guys.
Yeah, I mean,
we walked in the locker room on Monday, and it was like
a 5th of the roster was gone.
Who are these guys?
Yeah.
I mean, it was unbelievable.
And that was such a bad roster.
It
I
was.
mean, Trent Baalke's done a nice job. This is a much improved roster.
Without a doubt. But if you're a team, and the Jaguars would fall into this too. I mean, the Jaguars probably aren't going to have anybody fall to them. So if there was a player that got released, why wouldn't you pick up the phone and either make a player-for-player trade or give up a 7th-round pick? So that's why the Jaguars need to get the list out early so that, whether they're just giving it to the other teams or whether they're going to publicly release it, because you might get that kind of call. And look, it's probably not going to materialize into anything of value, but look, you'd rather have a 7th-round pick that you're getting for basically nothing because you were just going to fire the guy, and now instead of firing the guy, you're able to get a pick for him. Why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah, and Trent Baalke has made plenty of trades. I mean, every year this man makes trades. Walker Little, I don't agree with. I wouldn't move him. He is clearly your swing tackle. You just commented on Javon Foster. He's not ready, and that's fine. This should be a redshirt year. If Jacksonville has to play Javon Foster this year, that's a problem.
That's a problem.
He should be a game day scratch.
Yep.
And
17 straight weeks.
No doubt about it. And maybe he turns into something as early as 2025. You do not want him to be a part. He becomes this year's Ventrell Miller, and just does not have any say whatsoever. Tyler Shatley. Here's my opinion on Shatley. He gets cut Tuesday, but I think you'll see him not only play for the Jaguars this year, possibly start at either left or right guard for the Jaguars this year. I think they have a tremendous relationship. I don't think anyone, Hays, is knocking on their door saying, oh, you're going to release Shatley. We want him. I think he's a guy that's moved. They'll take advantage of the practice squad with 16 players. You can have 6 veterans. They bring him back there. And I do. I don't think he makes the team, but I think he actually plays guard for him at some point.
I think it's a great call and something that certainly you could see happen because this is a 33-year-old who has publicly said that this is his last year. So if I'm ownership, why are we keeping a guy like that, who's not start? It'd be fine if he was a starter, but he's not. So here we're talking about the priority of developing guys and developing young talent. So why am I keeping a 33-year-old who has said this is my last year as a reserve? Yeah. It's asinine. So Tyler Shatley, I think absolutely is going to get released. Not to your point, I don't think he has any interest in signing elsewhere. He's probably going to stay here. And, so you just tell him, look, Tyler, we're releasing you. Thank you for everything you've done. We're not interested in bringing you back on practice squad, but just stay in shape, stay here, because you know how it's been, and you're, 27 years here as a Jaguar. There's almost always been 1 or 2 key injuries. No. So, and they usually happen early in the year. So stay ready, because I absolutely think that they could get past the Cleveland game, let's say, and there's some attrition, and you call Tyler Shatley, and he's ready to go.
Yeah, he'll be ready. And there's a guy that I hope plays another 10 years because I can see him coming and stealing one of our jobs, as a matter of fact. Cole Van Lanen, did they put him in the Hall of Fame after his performance?
I didn't realize Anthony Munoz
Saturday
was,
night? Yeah. I mean, Cole Van Lanen had the highest rated score ever for an offensive lineman in Jacksonville. according to
Cole
Pro
Van
Football
Pancakes.
according to Pro Football Focus. I think he's just the guy, but I do believe that if they keep that 10th offensive lineman, he does make this team. If they do that, though, are you going from 4 to 3 backs, or are you going from 4 to 3 tight ends?
I'd probably just keep 3 backs. And I know they've got some rookies, some undrafted guys that have, flashed
I like Jalen
at times.
Jackson.
Yeah,
I have him
do
on my
too.
53.
Yeah, I would keep 3 backs. I would keep Etienne Bigsby and Dearness Johnson. Again, I think those backs you can easily get back on practice squad. And so that's the direction I would go. I like keeping 25 on offense, 25 on defense, and then the 3 specialists. We'll see. I mean, teams aren't married to that. It could be 24 on offense, 26 on defense. But I like keeping 10 offensive linemen with how the roster is constructed, and I'm going to steal a guy from the running back spot. So for me, it would be 4 tight ends, 10 offensive linemen, 3 backs. Obviously, I'm only keeping 2 quarterbacks, Trevor and Mac. So that's how I would build it. And, if something happens to Etienne Bigsby, Dearness Johnson, I would think you're going to have a minimum of 1, if not 2, running backs on your practice squad.
Yeah, and I'm sure they probably feel as an undrafted free agent on a Villanova that if they do cut Jalen Jackson on Tuesday, that another team's not going to pick him up. They could maybe bury him on the practice squad. I did go a little bit. Yeah, I went with 9 OLs, and I've taken 4 backs, taken the 4 tight ends.
So we're probably with the same 9. I would just keep Fortner would be my 10th.
Okay.
Is that
Yeah.
probably what we're – because, obviously it's Foster, Little, Hodges, and Hance. Van Lanen.
Yeah. Let me double check.
So
here.
we're both cutting Hance.
I had the starting 5 that we all know. Then I have Little, Hodges, Foster, 8. And as number 9, I did elect to keep Blake Hance.
Okay, so you're cutting Van Lanen.
Yes.
Okay,
yeah,
I got you. I think they keep Van Lanen, and I also think they will keep Fortner, and I'll say Blake Hance is the
just because they have 2 tackles. And again, even though Foster's not ready, but all right, let's take a break. Let's come back. And for what it's worth, last year this team kept 7 wide receivers. It's 6. Tim Jones proved that he's the 6th guy. He's a special teams guy. When you're Elijah Cooks, you cannot drop that ball with the bright lights.
Without a doubt.
You have to. You get so few opportunities. You have to make that grab. And I think they'll put him on the practice squad.
Yeah, this is professional football.
Yeah.
And it's so I would agree with you. I think they keep 6, and Elijah Cooks probably gets back to the practice squad. I mean, that's the thing. These guys are pretty much all going to end up back here. Everybody loves their guys. So, it's always something that, fans tend to worry about. Well, if we cut them, we're going to lose them. That's very rare. You have about, I'd say, a 93% chance of getting anybody that you cut back on practice squad. And usually it's best for the player because they know the system, they know the guys. That's the direction I think they should go in.
Yeah, and for Jacksonville, basically, I think a 56-man roster. You have the exemption with Deshaun Gibson for 6 weeks. He does not count against the 53 in the new rule where you can send 2 guys off on Tuesday and pull them back. I think that'll be exercised for Andrew Wingard and as well as the rookie when you look at Robinson. Yeah, I think that right now return guys. Duvernay, Parker Washington, Tank Bigsby.
They're loaded there.
They really feel good. So there's not a need today for Robinson, but there may be in 4 weeks. So if you put him on this IR, you have to sit out at least 4 games. All right, we have much more to do on the Jaguars. We have a Florida State report coming up. Wes Durham is going to join us as well at 3 o'clock along with Hays Carlyon. My name is Rick Ballou. It's great to have you with us.
The Frangie Show from the Harrell and Harrell studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
If you need an insurance agent, I'll recommend the best guy in town, State Farm agent Craig Dewhurst. Call him at 940-9740. Really good guy, really good agent. Life insurance, homeowners, automotive, you name it, he'll handle it for you. Tell him what you need. He'll assess your whole situation. What kind of coverage do you need? How much coverage? What should your deductible be? What do you make and how does it fit your cost and your rates? You will love dealing with Craig. What a nice guy he is and how he'll help you get the right answers. The best in the business. Craig Dewhurst from State Farm, 940-9740.
If the Florida heat is getting you down and you're sweating up a storm, fire up a phone call to Florida Home AC and order an AC tune-up. It's the best way to beat the heat and keep your AC unit working at peak performance. Log on to FloridaHomeAC.com for their tune-up special and make sure you're primed for the peak of that heat. Florida Home AC, the official AC provider of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and just a phone call away at 777-4300. Order that tune-up today.
Jennifer, Luxury has a new address in Jacksonville.
Oh, do tell, John.
Randy Marion Cadillac on Southside Boulevard. We've got over 40 Cadillac Lyrics in stock.
40? That's incredible. Any color you want?
You bet. Pick your color and drive away today. Plus, we're giving away a free home charger with every Lyric.
Fantastic. Anything else?
How about a car you'll never have to change the oil on?
No oil changes ever? Now that's luxury.
Randy Marion Cadillac, where Jacksonville meets luxury.
Visit us today on Southside Boulevard and tell them Jennifer sent ya.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
Does the building you go to work in every day need a little love and attention? Jason Parker here with Performance Painting. Great companies take great care of the buildings their staff and customers walk into every day. If the building you're in doesn't match the vision you have for your company, we can help. Go to performance-painting.com. Our highly trained team makes the difference. Quality coatings applied with pride.
Performance Painting! We could call them helmets and cleats, but they don't wear cleats.
Those shoes are hot.
Mia O'Brien, Lauren Brooks, and Taylor Dahl.
From the First Coast Lighting Studios at 1010XL.
Weekdays noon to 2.
You think you could join us?
Lauren Brooks here. Circa Resort and Casino has an incredible all-in package for Duval in December. For only $500, tax and resort fee included, get a 3-night stay at Circa, $200 food and beverage credit, plus a day bed at Stadium Swim. With 6 temperature-controlled pools and a massive screen, it's the world's largest hot tub party. Join us Heels Friday night for a Jacksonville pep rally with specials and giveaways. To book the Jacksonville game day getaway and join the Heels in Vegas, visit circalasvegas.com today.
Roof damage? Call before you claim. Greenlaw Group, fighting insurance companies for you. They will work for you when you have roof damage. Don't let your insurance deny you. Don't call an adjuster. Call Greenlaw Group at 904-302-7055. Remember, if you have roof damage, call Greenlaw Group before you claim. They've settled millions and will work hard to get your claim and new roof. Greenlaw Group. Call before you claim. 904-302-7055.
Homeowners, good news for you. Accent on 4. Listen up. Loan Pronto now has mortgage rates that start with a 4. Prosser here. It's true. Mortgage rates have plummeted. So low, we haven't seen them in a long time. If your current rate is over 6%, you can dump it and lower your house payment big time. Loan Pronto just locked in a homeowner at 4.99% APR. So whether you got your loan last week, last month, or last year, it's time to call Loan Pronto. Even if you're in process with another lender, stop now. Call Loan Pronto. Ask about their zero-cost rate reduction home loan. You can lock in a lower rate with no closing costs in a matter of days, with almost no paperwork and usually no appraisal. And if you act now, you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call now. Loan Pronto can give you a rate quote in minutes with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees like those other guys. Call 904-999-1508 or loanpronto.com. Call 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781. Owner approved credit, MLSconsumeraccess.org.
I-9 Sports wants to make sure kids all over the First Coast can enjoy growing up on a field or in a gym. And right now, fall and winter registration is open. Find out what I-9 Sports offers across Duval, Clay, and St. John's. I9sports.com. Enter 1010 in the promo code for a discount.
Hey, David again with Royal Pest Services. TAP Insulation stands for thermal, acoustic, and pest control. Keep your home cool, noise out, and pests dead. Visit RoyalPestServices.com to schedule a free inspection.
Duck Rooter is hiring plumbers, CDL drivers, septic system installers, and helpers. We offer excellent pay and a full benefits package. Apply at duckduckrooter.com or call for details. 904-862-6769.
Equal opportunity employer.
With Labor Day savings at the Home Depot, you can upgrade your home with up to $1,500 off select appliances from top brands like Whirlpool. Enhance your kitchen with quality and convenience from Whirlpool, like the freestanding electric range with built-in air fryer and the tall all tub dishwasher with third rack. All available at the Home Depot. Right now, shop Labor Day savings up to $1,500 off select appliances at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Pricing valid August 22nd through September 11th. U.S. only. See store online for details.
This is Dr. Turner Vossler, Assistant Team Physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jaguars, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
Preparation is the key to success in the NFL, especially for a young, hungry player trying to make a name for himself. Rookie defensive tackle Mason Smith is learning quickly that the more extra work you put in, the further ahead of your opponents you will be. As the transition from college to pro ball is not easy for most players, Smith is taking advantage of the opportunities to improve.
Coach Dre told me something when he first got here, and it was about extra time. He was like, if you put in 45 minutes each and every day to watching film, whether it's film or anything football related, you'll be that much of ahead of your opponent. So we tend to spend 45 minutes a day just watching film and doing other things like that, just getting the adjustments needed.
I'm Max Fink with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now, the Seminole Point of View with Rick Ballou. Brought to you by Vaughn Motor Group on San Jose Boulevard. Dream it, drive it.
All right, Florida State left last night at 9 o'clock. They boarded a plane in God's country. They have landed in Dublin City, Ireland. They're a 10.5 to 11.5 point favorite for their matchup against Georgia Tech coming up on Saturday. I think it's going to be a tricky ball game.
I think it is, too. I enjoyed hearing Irish O'Fell on with XL Primetime, kind of giving his take on it. And it seems like everybody sort of believes that as long as Florida State can get the ground game going early, put DJU in good down and distance situations, play that nasty defense that it seems like everybody believes Florida State will be able to play once again, then they're in control of the game. If Georgia Tech gets hot early, if Florida State, for whatever reason, falls behind by 10 in the second half and has to start pitching it all over the field, that's where the game becomes dicey. So how do you see it?
Yeah, I think it's a run and stop the run game, and I think that really sets up well for Florida State. It's the best offensive line I've seen them have probably since 2013. I mean, this is really a very good group. And they're going to rotate 8 guys. And you know how odd that is. You want that continuity of 5 offensive linemen, but Alex Atkins is going to do that. Now, Atkins won't be there. He's going to miss the first 3 games. The offensive coordinator and the offensive line coach. That is very important. This is because of a NIL violation. And he is hands-on. And, we've all watched a lot of football. I can't tell you how important in-game an offensive line coach is when you are making adjustments. It's arguably the most important coaching position out there. I would say probably with a cornerbacks coach. So he's going to be missed. And you wonder how much that'll be a factor here for Florida State. But Georgia Tech is terrible against the run. They allowed 5.8 yards a carry last year.
Which is ridiculous when you consider
Just
sacks
terrible.
count against that.
And get this, we were talking about the Jaguars' offensive line and contact for Tank Bigsby. Last year, they allowed 2.6 yards before contact. So just imagine that. I mean, they're getting blown back nearly 3 yards off the line of scrimmage before any one of the 11 even puts a finger on a running back. So now, they've redone it. They brought in a new defensive coordinator from Duke. They brought in 9 transfer portal defensive guys. They have some younger guys they believe in. It's only going to get better there at Georgia Tech. But right now, the recipe is simple for Florida State. Run the football right down the throat of Georgia Tech.
And the thing that I admire about Mike Norvell is he had such an older team last year. This team is, looking at the depth chart, every bit as old. I mean, there are redshirt seniors littered throughout the starting lineup. So, again, not having the offensive line coach, the coordinator, it's a mature team. You hope they can handle that. But it's also should be a very physical team. And this is a totally This is a disruption completely in your routine because of the travel involved in the game and the venue. I like the fact that Florida State has that level of experience across the board because, frankly, I was shocked when I looked at it because you don't often see a team have, whatever number of seniors it was last year, 25, and that's basically where they're at this year.
Yeah, and it's been a long time over there since you can use the word reload. They lost 10 players to the NFL with the draft, and there's 3 others right now, including a guy we saw last week in Kalen DeLoach, who apparently is going to make the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, they lost a ton, but there is experience. This is what is going to be very intriguing with Mike Norvell, and I've been saying this for the last couple of weeks. Florida State got away with things last year because of the escapability and the athleticism of Jordan Travis. And then on top of that, if you look at the route tree, it really wasn't expanded with Keon Coleman and Johnny West. Go back to that Clemson game. Every single play at the end of the game, they just ran go routes, and it worked. They scored. So this is going to be a year where Norvell is really going to have to coach. It's going to be interesting schematically on what this offense is going to look like. DJU, 3 of his 4 years, under 60% completion percentage, 57% last year at Oregon State. However, 10 yards or less, 73.8%. Instead of relying on inconsistent Portier and Williamson and Spawn, why not get the ball in a 2-back set with Jalen Lucas in motion? Why not put Toafili in the slot? I was talking to you and Frank about this yesterday. Find a way to get your playmakers the football, even if it's behind the line of scrimmage. I trust Norvell here. Players have gotten better under him, and he's done it with 3 stars, and he's done it with transfer portal guys. Now he's getting better football players. I think it's a very interesting year for him to not panic, even when they're behind, and make the right plays and get his playmakers the football.
What would you like to see that opening 15-play script look like for the Noles?
I want to see him run the ball. I want to see him line. I would love 15 straight runs in a game like this because Tech and BC in consecutive weeks, they are 2 teams that can take a lot of clock. Their bread and butter is run, and they have dual threat quarterbacks who can run. It's going to be very interesting on the other side. But we know that, we all want to pass the ball. Passing is what we want today in football, college or pro. But you win games by running. It does everything. When you run the football, you take clock, and it ticks and ticks and ticks. And what it does is it tires your opponent's defense. It also rests your defense. They're on the sideline, and when they're called to go back in, they're ready to go because they're rested. Three things happen when you pass it. 2 are bad, right? Mm-hmm. Complete pass, incomplete pass, or an interception. I love running the football, and I hope that that's what they're able to do on Saturday.
Well, and I think conditioning is a big factor in this game as well because, we've made that flight, obviously, and it does affect your body.
Yeah.
And it's your first game of the season. It's a different kind of crowd. The intensity early on for both teams is going to be sky high. That's going to wear off. I mean, by the time you get midway through the third quarter and on, now it's just a gut check. And who's the more physically conditioned team? And that's where dominating with that ground game, throwing those body blows early can pay off massively when you get deep into a game like this.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And I was really surprised that listening to those players here after 2 days of work, how much hotter they thought it was in Duval compared to Tallahassee.
What's the weather supposed to be like for the game? Do we know?
It's like 60 degrees.
Oh, with no rain?
Yeah, I haven't checked.
Okay.
I only checked the weather back in the days when I was betting. And I haven't done that in 10 plus years. Yeah. So, but I guess it's supposed to be.
62 and cloudy.
62 and cloudy,
but not a lot of rain.
No rain, it looks like.
Yeah,
so that's going to be great. I mean, that's going to be impeccable conditions to play in.
Yeah.
And by the way, Georgia Tech can do the same thing.
Yeah, tell me about what concerns you about Georgia Tech.
They returned 4 of their 5 offensive linemen. They have one of the great young wide receivers in college football in Eric Singleton Jr. is a true freshman last year, over 700 yards of receiving yards. Haynes King is that prize Jimbo recruit a couple of years ago at A&M. Dual threat last year, put up huge numbers. Got a really good back, 1,000-yard guy in Jamal Haynes. So this is a team, everything I said about running the football and keeping your offense on the field and tiring the defense, Georgia Tech has the ability to do that as well. And what they've always done, misdirection, smart football, where Florida State, all of a sudden it's like a blown play, and you look and you see a receiver that's not 30, he's not a guy within 30 yards. That's happened with Tech over the years, and I think there's an opportunity that there could be a breakdown that could happen coming up on Saturday.
That Florida State defensive front, I know you're really high on. Is it more of a get after the quarterback front? Is it more of a stuff the run front? Or is it they can just do it all at a very high level?
I think it's a complete defensive line. You got two animals off the edge with Jones Jr. and, the 15 pounds of Patrick Payton. But inside, man, they got 4 or 5 guys they love, including Joshua Farmer. And, finally getting Darrell Jackson in, the transfer from Miami. So they're a stout group. They have NFL corners. I think this defense is a top 10 defense. I really believe that. And to me, it all comes down to Florida State's passing offense. If they can pass the ball and get that to get somewhat close to what they do when it comes to rushing the football, they should be very good. One nugget, because nowadays it's not who do you think will win the game, it's who do you think will cover. And I've been asked a million times, Florida State 11.5, what would you do? Last year as a dog, Georgia Tech was 7-2 against the spread. Last 2 years, they have 13 covers as an underdog. That's the most in college football. Florida State fans, be happy with a field goal win. Do not bet this game. At least that's my opinion. All right, we got much more to do. Hey, Wes Durham, he knows a whole heck of a lot about Georgia Tech. He used to be the voice of the Yellow Jackets. He's the voice of the Atlanta Falcons. He also has the Atlantic Coast Conference Game of the Week. We'll bring in Wes Durham. He joins us next.
It's the ride home with the Frangie Show from the Harold and Harold studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
I'm Brett Musburger, and you are listening live to Jacksonville Sports Radio 1010 XL.
Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Hey, it's Matt Hays, and there's nothing quite like the ease and breeze of First Coast summers. Unless, that is, you have a clogged drain or your hot water heater doesn't work. But that's where the experts at Fenwick Home Services have you covered. Fenwick offers 24/7 same-day service and can fix any plumbing problem you have. With free same-day estimates and guaranteed repairs, the pros at Fenwick Home Services get the job done right and get it done right the first time. You can also save on future emergencies with $50 off any repair. Click it or call day or night. FenwickHomeservices.com.
Imagine driving a late model Corvette, BMW, Mercedes, Lexus, Honda, Chevy, Ford, and more, all at a fraction of the original sticker price. Visit Vaughn Motor Group's indoor showroom and browse a great selection of dream cars that are inspected with warranties. Before you make your next auto purchase, check out Vaughn Motor Group on San Jose Boulevard or at VaughnMotorGroup.com for a complete inventory listing. If you can dream it, you can drive it at Vaughn Motor Group.
When it comes to towing products, your safety on the road is the priority at Cannons of Jacksonville. Whether it's a heavy-duty tow hitch, trailer frame, wiring, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons has decades of experience to ensure your towing setup is installed with precision and reliability. Visit cannonsofjacks.com to explore a range of products and schedule your installation. Cannons of Jacksonville, your trusted partner for a smoother tow.
Looking to elevate your game night experience? Look no further than Best Bet. We're not just a card room, we're your destination for excitement, fun, and big wins. Whether you're a seasoned player or new to the game, we have something for everyone. Join us at Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, or St. Augustine for thrilling tournaments, exciting promotions, and a vibrant atmosphere that will take your game night to the next level. Elevate your game night at Best Bet. Visit bestbetjacks.com to learn more. That's bestbetjacks.com.
Start your week with a Hall of Fame breakfast.
Well, I'm hungry. How about you?
Join Dan Hicken, Jeff Prosser, and Jags Hall of Famer Tony Bazzelli for tons of football talk. Brought to you by Heritage Roofing of North Florida. Monday mornings at 7:20 on 1010XL.
Come to Monahan Jewelers store-wide 50 to 60% off sale going on now for a very limited time. Everything on display is 50 to 60% off at Monahan Jewelers. We've bought so much brand new jewelry, we need to make room for it. Diamond jewelry, engagement semi-mounts, colored gemstones, even gold chains. Right now, everything on display at Monahan Jewelers is 50 to 60% off. Jewelry's going quick, so come to Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
The flagship station of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Prosser here. Hey, pick a news source. But the reports are home prices are expected to decline in 2025, even after the election. So you need to maximize your home sales price now before this downturn, and you can do it with the agents proven to sell for top dollar, Chad and Sandy Newman. Hey, perhaps you're worried about selling for less money with a lowball out-of-state instant offer, or maybe you want maximum equity from your home, but you're not sure how. That's why you turn to Chad and Sandy, who have the answers. No required costly repairs. Chad and Sandy are the local real estate experts I trust and recommend for the sale of your home. Tony and Maggie at Jack's Golf and Country Club said, "We recently had a job transfer and we needed to sell fast. With homes in our area struggling to sell inside 100 days, we didn't know what to do. Our worries were solved when we hired Chad and Sandy. Our home sold in 3 days for one of the highest prices ever in our neighborhood at over $1 million. Call the local experts we trust, 904-414-6200 or ChadAndDSandy.com.
When the sun goes down, you might think a golf course shuts down, but not at the Golf Club of Southampton. Join the gang every Thursday night for trivia with Brooke and Jason, and everybody's favorite night, Friday night on the patio, featuring local musicians, food, and drink. It's all at the Golf Club of Southampton. Great golf. You've come to expect that. But don't forget, when night falls, the fun doesn't stop. Trivia every Thursday night and Southampton's live music patio session Fridays. Call 287-PLAY to make a tee time and the good time.
At the First Coast YMCA, you'll find much more than just a gym. We offer many ways to help you be active, reach weight loss goals, and find your inner strength while you connect with your community. Family memberships at the Y include unlimited group exercise classes, childcare while you work out, and youth sports participation. It's easy to join the Y and affordable for all. Plus, the Y is a great place to meet a new circle of friends. Visit the Y near you or online at fcymca.org.
Hello, this is Father Nicholas Lowe, and I want to talk to you about letting things roll off of your back. So often we can make big deals out of things that are not really big deals. We can allow them to steal the joy of our day. But let me remind you that don't allow anyone or anything to steal the joy of today. Go out today not letting little things steal the big things that God has in store for you.
For more inspiration, log on to stjohnthedivine.com.
Hey folks, Mike Dempsey here. You've heard me talking about Pella Windows and Doors, and with great ratings and expert reviews, you know they're high quality and energy efficient products. So what's your next step? How about scheduling a free consultation or just stop by the Pella showroom right there on Phillips Highway next to Tesla? Pella's professional consultants will guide you through your entire project from start to finish. From simple projects to complex renovations, their team has the experience needed to make your project a success. And that's the quality and service you can expect from Pella Windows and Doors.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update, brought to you by Southern Oak Insurance. The Florida State Seminoles wrapped up their last practice in the United States yesterday, ready to take the trip to Ireland. Head coach Mike Norvell met with the media after practice and recapped the Noles' final practice ahead of the opener.
I thought today was a good work day. Obviously Wednesday work week practice. It's great here for the first one. We've got to roll through this a couple times, and I think guys had an understanding of what to expect. Obviously try to continue to with that, and being the second day coming through on game week, we really tried to push variations. But going into the first game, you prepare for all things.
Norvell believes they have a great plan for what is necessary to allow them to be their best come Saturday. It's 84 degrees at 3 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Time now for the College Football Insider, brought to you by the law firm of Woolsey Moorcoat on The Frangie Show.
All right, Wes Durham is a man of many hats. He is the voice of the Atlanta Falcons. He also calls the Game of the Week this year with Tom Luginbill. The Atlantic Coast Conference going to be a very interesting year, no doubt about it. Rick Ballou, Hays Carlyon. Wes, always a pleasure. How you been?
I'm great, Rick. Good to catch up with you guys. Thanks for having me.
The Wild Wild West has been it's been there for college football the last several years with the NIL and the transfer portal. But I think this is truly a breath of fresh air with the 12-team college football playoff. Have you had an opportunity to fully digest what it's going to be like this year?
Yeah, I think we've got some good stuff here, right? We've expanded the field 3 times, gone from 4 to 12, obviously. I think the secret sauce in this is the 2 basic parts that I think everybody has heard, but do they really understand? The champion of the ACC, the Big Ten, the Big 12, and the SEC, they get the automatic bids. But do people realize the automatic bids mean that those champions are seeded 1 to 4?
Mm-hmm.
And then the at-larges, the G5 gets the other seed. They're not going to be one of the top 4. So they could be anywhere from 5 to 12. So that essentially is 5, and that leaves 7 spots for 4 conferences and or Notre Dame, right? So that's that part. I think the field is something people have to digest. The second part is, do they really understand that we're going to play 4 of these jokers on campus sites?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think people have understood and grasped the fact. I think I saw one of the mocks the other day, which the fact we have a mock of something before we played anything is comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw where like Alabama would go to Penn State, like an 11-6 game would be Alabama at Penn State. And I thought to myself, if Alabama has to go to Happy Valley the 3rd week in December, what's that going to look like?
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to have 106,000 people at about 11 degrees and snow blowing sideways possibly in Happy Valley. So, I mean, I just think that's the part that is going to be really, really fascinating. And then, like the NCAA basketball tournament, because that's what we have to go on, what happens when we catch a flyer, when a 10, 11, or 12 makes it to the semis, or a 10, 11, or 12 makes it to the last game? I think it's going to be great for college football. I think it does welcome more teams to the table, which I think was really important. And at the end of the day, I think we're on track. Now, I find that people who want to go from 12 to 16 before we've ever played 12, that's comedy. The other thing I would caution folks on is, those of you that subscribe to the fact that your league, whichever one you support, is going to get anywhere from 2 to 5 teams in this event, slow your roll, because you don't know what the committee is going to look like. And the other thing is you don't know what the value of undefeated, 1 loss, 2 loss, or even potentially 3 loss is until you see the neighborhood that's around you. And I think that's the important part to remember going forward if you're a fan. But the good news is the things you just talked about at the top, portal, NIL, all that stuff, nobody cares. When the ball goes on the tee, people tell us now in research and things like that, I just want to see my football. And that's what they're going to get starting Saturday at noon with the Knowles and Jack.
Yeah, absolutely, Wes. It's Hays Carlyon. Great to talk with you again. And give us a preview. What do you expect to see in Dublin between FSU and Georgia Tech?
Well, I think, Hayes, it's going to be really fascinating because Georgia Tech, and I said this yesterday on ACC Network, I think Georgia Tech's kind of playing with house money, right? There's a lot of pressure on Florida State. You were 13-0 last year, didn't get in the playoff. All that's been well documented. Feelings hurt, all those things aside. Now, all of a sudden, Mike Norvell's got to do it again. And in today's college football, as Rick alluded, it's a different roster, right? I mean, it's going to be a different roster. It's not as transactive as some, but it can be. And in Florida State's particular case, I think you're still going to be really, really talented on defense. I think your offensive line is really good. I think the run game is ridiculous, but the quarterback is the quarterback. And DJ Uiagalelei, while being a great kid, has not had a very strong starting career in college football. So for me, if Georgia Tech was 133 last year or 32 against the run, I think if I'm Florida State, I'm lining it up and seeing how good, Lawrence Toafili and Roydell Williams are and trying to play keep away from the guy who I think is the best quarterback at least as the season starts in the ACC, is Haynes King. Now, Cam Ward of Miami may have something to say about it. Somebody else in another school might. But I think that if you're Florida State, you ought to see if Georgia Tech can tackle you in the run game, and then you ought to see if you can stop Georgia Tech's run game, because you don't want Georgia Tech does not want Haynes King throwing it 60 times. They would much rather create some degree of balance on offense. But I do believe it'll be a close game for all the things, Hayes and Rick, that we've come to know about first games: penalties, turnovers, unforced errors, things of that nature. I think it's, as the last report I heard was, it was still a big number in double figures. So I would tend to believe it's going to be probably a little closer than that, but wouldn't be surprised if it got sideways either.
Wes Durham, our guest, he has the game of the week in the Atlantic Coast Conference, also the voice of the Atlanta Falcons. Miami's getting a lot of hype, deservedly so. I mean, skill position-wise, they can dance with anyone in college football. And in West, it feels like in the ditch, both on the offensive and defensive line. This reminds me a little bit of Miami of old. What are your thoughts here on the Canes?
Well, are we scared to fall in love again? I think we might be. How many times have we been here since they've joined the ACC, right, Rick? How many times have we been to, man, Miami looks really good, quarterback looks good, lines look good, and then something happens, right? And I think we're a little gun-shy right now. That's why they weren't picked to win the ACC, and they weren't picked in the top two, although the collateral would tell you they probably should have been. I think the Canes and Gators a week from Saturday is the most important game in week one. I've said it for about a month and a half. I think given the landscape of both schools, where Billy Napier wants to go, certainly where Mario Cristobal wants to go, I think it's the most important game. And I think whoever wins it is, the referendum Monday is going to be a little bit easier for them than it is for the loser, obviously. But I do believe Cam Ward is a difference maker. But there is a thought coming from his work at Washington State the last couple of years that while he can throw you into a game, there are times where he can throw you out of a game. And I don't know. I think Miami's good enough on offense to recover from that day. But who are they going to be playing when it happens? And that's the only hesitation I have about Miami and a potential trip to the college football playoff.
Wes, what are your expectations for Clemson?
I think they're going to be pretty good. Now, Hayes, in all honesty, I was at the road trip we did for ACC Network earlier this week, and they look like Clemson of old. When they walk around on the practice field, they look really good. I mean, like size-wise, physicality-wise, I think Matt Luke coming on to coach the offensive line is a stroke of genius by Dabo. I mean, we saw it last year in Jacksonville at the Gator Bowl. Matt Luke and that offensive line, they produced a powerhouse. And when Will Shipley got hurt on the kicker or punt return last year, next thing you know, the game belonged to Phil Maffa. And the continuity in the offensive line is back. Garrett Riley in the second year is the OC. I'm optimistic about Clemson now. And then somebody will go, well, they're playing Georgia. Yeah, I understand that. And, again, I think Clemson's probably playing as a big-time underdog and probably with a little bit of house money like Georgia Tech is. And I expect Clemson to play Georgia well, but I don't know, even if they don't win the game, and let's go back to the front of the conversation here, Rick, even if they don't win the game, Clemson's still in it, right? That's the beauty of where we are. I mean, if Clemson lost by 10 points to Georgia in week one in the old 14 format, well, hell, that'd be it. Clemson dynasty dead. Feinbaum be throwing a party in the street, and we'd be having a big old time. And I think that's the beauty of where we are because, again, I'll go back to this. We think we know, but do we really know? And the answer is no. We don't know what this is going to look like by the time we get around to early December and they name those at-large teams I was talking about a moment ago.
Yeah, I've heard many say the ACC is only going to get the champion in and the Big 12 is only going to get the champion in. All the at-large will come from the SEC and the Big 10. We don't know that. I mean, you got to play this thing out, but you make a good point. You can lose early now and certainly still get in.
Well, and you guys are going to have the best ever month of November and December because hopefully the Jags are in the playoffs, okay? Hopefully they're in that hunt, right? And they're on to a double-figure plus season in wins for Doug Peterson and my guy's 16, right? So let's take that into account. But you could potentially be having a discussion that the third best team in the ACC is not better than the fifth best team in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that discussion could be like hitting square in home, right? And think about the discussions we're going to be having nationally. Oh, you mean to tell me the second best team in the Big Ten is not better than the third best team in the Big 12, or whatever the case may be? And that's where this committee now has to decide things, because that's the difference in 2 and 3 and potentially 4 teams, I think, in the 12-team playoff.
And you know what the big crutch could really be, and it could happen at least 3 times. You could have Ohio State, Michigan play 3 times. You could have Alabama, Georgia play 3 times.
Play 3 times.
You could have Florida State, Clemson, or Florida State. They could play 3 times, and they could do correct. Two of them would almost be back to back on a championship Saturday, and then you get into the 12-team college football playoff. And in that smoke-filled room, they're going to try to avoid that third matchup. So then that'll affect the overall seeding. And, you mentioned the point about going to Penn State. Well, if all of a sudden it's obvious that a team should be ranked higher, but they drop a notch because of that very reason, it's a third game. So this 12-team college football playoff, it's still not a perfect science.
No, and that's why, like I said earlier, I kind of laughed at, when we unveiled the 12 and kind of the logic behind it and the rules of it. And then like 2 weeks later, I heard, well, why don't we just go ahead and go to 16? And, I got 35% of the room wants to go to 16. Well, sure, coaches are going to want to go to 16 because that helps job security, right? I mean, if you go to the playoff, you can't get fired. Well, maybe you can, but I just don't know how that happens right now. But we can't go to 16 till we've done 12 a couple times, because primarily the television folks are tapped out financially for the time being. But the idea of going through this exercise of 12 for the next 3 or 4 years to me is really, really fascinating, because I think it's going to put value on who you play within your league, and we all know that everybody's not playing everybody anymore, right? The second thing it's going to put value in is you're going to have to schedule some people. And unfortunately, in our part of the country, we've become very comfortable with that FBS, FCS game. And I'm not so sure that that's going to be a plausible thing here in the next few years. I think you're going to have to start lining up. You might be able to get a group of 5 non-conference games, but like in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, Kentucky, where you play the non-conference rival game, I think those games are going to stay. But then what happens when we play a 9th conference game? And we all know that's coming, right? We know that's going to happen in the next iteration of the big television deals. So for the next 4 or 5 years, let's enjoy 12, see what we learn from it. We clearly know, God bless Roy Kramer, it's better than the BCS, the original BCS, right? We know it's better than that, where some guy in the dark basement was creating a rating system. And the CFP became about those 3 games. It became about those 4 teams. And now we've just tripled the field here, and I think it's going to be a lot better for the sport as a whole, for sure.
Wes is also the voice of the Atlanta Falcons. We've got Jaguars-Falcons tomorrow night. Wes, give us an idea. What should we expect from Atlanta this season, and how will Raheem Morris approach this game against the Jaguars?
Well, unfortunately, Hays, tomorrow night, all indications are he's going to approach it the way he approached last Saturday, which means 37 players won't play.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, last Saturday in Baltimore, Michael Penix didn't play. Michael Penix is not expected to play tomorrow. I know Jacksonville has a different tact, but Atlanta is a team that feels like it needs to – its culture and its momentum are being built in the practice sessions of camp. They had the joint practices in Miami. They loved what they saw out of Penix behind Kirk Cousins. And then Penix played 3 series in the first playoff game. I say preseason game, not playoff game. I hope we have a playoff game, where he played those first 3 possessions and looked pretty good. And so they saw all they needed to see out of Michael Penix. You won't see Matthew Judon and Justin Simmons, who have obviously changed the dynamic of what everybody thinks on Atlanta's defense tomorrow. But it's been a really good camp here. They did lose 3 players, 2 for the season, in a 72-hour period around that preseason game in those joint practices. They lost Rondale Moore, the wide receiver, and they lost Braylon Trice, their 3rd-round pick out of Washington. And then DeMarco Hellams, a safety, got hurt on the 2nd snap of the preseason game. And he is probably going to start the year, I think, IR return. But it's gone really well. Cousins has been just a breath of fresh air at the quarterback spot here, as you would expect him to be. He's really had a great camp with Drake London. He's had a great camp with Kyle Pitts and Darnell Mooney and Bijan Robinson, and people are incredibly incredibly excited about where the offense can go. I'm just as excited to see what happens defensively now with the acquisitions of Judon Simmons because of what it'll mean to the linebacking combinations, and then certainly up front where Zach Harrison, the second-year defensive end from Ohio State, is up to 290 pounds. David Onyemata returns from injury. Grady Jarrett's back. And, Atlanta's got one of the best safeties in the league before those moves were made last week in Jesse Bates. And A.J. Terrell just got a brand-new contract today. So all those things, I think, factor into what is really a lot of optimism about the Falcons. But if you look at their schedule, the first 6 games are going to be really determinant of, I think, what kind of year they're potentially going to have.
Wes, we are out of time, so if you could, 30 seconds on Ryan Nielsen and that attack defense.
He's terrific. I've got great respect for Jimmy Lake being here, Rick, but Ryan Nielsen was just sensational here. A really good, fresh defensive mind, and looking at the roster, getting ready for the broadcast this week of guys he's got to play with, I think he's going to have a hell of a year. Trayvon Walker, Devon Hamilton, Eric Armstead. Foye Oluokun, obviously we had here. I was a big Devin Lloyd fan when I saw him a year ago. And then the secondary, Cisco and Tyson Campbell and some of those guys have got to be really excited about him, because he is the kind of guy that can cut them loose. And I would say Josh Allen would probably be a big fan, too, of the way he likes to get after people. So I'd be optimistic if I was the Jags fan about a pretty good, solid return to form for your defense.
Wes Durham, ladies and gentlemen, the voice of the Atlanta Falcons, and you'll catch him every Saturday with the Atlantic Coast Conference. Wes, always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Be well. Take care. See you, Rick.
There he goes. One of the really good guys in the business, Wes Durham. And, of course, for those who may have forgotten, Ryan Nielsen, defensive coordinator last year for the Atlanta Falcons, also their defensive line coach. All right, let's mix it up here on the other side. Ballou and Carlyon with you. JJ LaSelva with you today until 4 o'clock right here in your home of the Jags.
The Frangie Show from the Harold and Harold studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
It's more than a game.
No matter how talented you are, it still comes down to that brotherhood of playing for one another.
1010XL. It's why we play.
Mia here. Get it all when you shop Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned. Just listen to this. Over 275 SUVs, over 200 cars, over 100 pickups, over 50 luxury vehicles. That's over 600 vehicles, and they're all in one location. Arlington Pre-Owned even has 125 vehicles under $18,000. Plus, you get Arlington's 60-day exchange program and financing help from their Credit for Everyone program. Shop online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com.
This is Richard Miller with your Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles Update. Earlier this month, Anton Harrison had an in-store signing at Showtime. And in our showcases, we have Harrison autographed mini helmets for the Jags and Oklahoma Sooners. Also 8x10 photos signed by Anton Harrison. Get ready for football at Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles. Update your collection.
Summer is here, which means it's time for road trips and family vacations. Frank Frangie here. Before you hit the road, make sure your car can handle the heat with a visit to Big Chief Tire. Their expert technicians will ensure your vehicle can handle the summer heat, from tire checks to AC services. Avoid the stress of a breakdown and travel with confidence. Visit BigChiefTire.com or call 904-932-0950 to schedule your summer checkup today. Big Chief Tire keeps Jacks rolling.
Hey, sports fans, this is Hays Carlyon from MyBookie. Embrace the start of football season with MyBookie. It's time to get in on the action before these lines start to move. Take advantage of their live betting also, especially if a heavy favorite gets off to a slow start. And if you haven't signed up, go to mybookie.ag and register for a free account. Use promo code 1010XL to grab a welcome bonus up to $1,000. Let's take a look at some updated MyBookie lines. The Gators are a 2-point underdog in the Swamp against the Canes. The over-under is 54 points. FSU, an 11-point favorite over Georgia Tech in Dublin with an over-under of 50. 55.5, and the Jaguars are a 3.5-point underdog at the Dolphins. The over-under is 49 points. There are a ton of cool prop bets as well. Sign up with that promo code 1010XL to claim your deposit bonus. Again, it's a bonus up to $1,000. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwood Jewelers. Clayton, you have told us about buying better quality diamonds, but is there any way to start with a smaller diamond and use it to trade up to a larger diamond later on?
Frank, it's interesting you'd ask that because our founder, H.F. Underwood, popularized growing your diamond here in Jacksonville about 50 years ago, and it's something we still do today. When a customer buys an Underwood engagement ring or solitaire diamond pendant or a pair of ear studs, we guarantee they get the price they paid for it on the purchase of any larger diamond. Now, a lot of stores would say, big deal. We do that too, but here's the Underwood difference. We guarantee you get what you paid when you trade in your Underwood diamond, even if you're trading up by only $1. It's not that you have to trade up 2 for 1 like most jewelers ask. There have been literally thousands of people in the Jacksonville area who have taken advantage of our policy, and Underwood still grows a lot of diamonds for a lot of people.
Underwood, serving excellence since 1928. In San Marco, Avondale, and the shops of Ponte Vedra.
Start your Saturday with a whiff of the great outdoors.
Captain Kevin Favor here with Captain Kirk and Jeff Loggeman, and we bring you the fresh air of the great outdoors.
On the Nimnit Outdoors Show, presented by Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning on 1010XL.
Bold City AC, keeping you cool.
Feeling the heat, Jacksonville? Cool down with Bold City Heating and Air. From repairs to energy-efficient installs, we do it all. Family-owned and trusted since 2016, we offer clear pricing, NATE-certified techs, and unbeatable service. Call Bold City Heating and Air today and experience the bold difference.
Bold City AC, keeping you cool. Bold City AC.
Visit boldcityac.com.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists returns with their free bumps and bruises evaluation clinics. Now with 4 locations, these free injury assessments are open to all schools and athletic programs. Saturday mornings from 9 to 10 through October 26th at Cortex Sports Performance in Ponte Vedra, Preferred PT in Fleming Island, and also at Brooks Rehab on Centurion Parkway and Brooks Rehab at World Golf Village.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Get this thing unwrapped here. Duval!
Prize, what in the world are you doing working on your Duval?
That's right, Dan. I really identify with Duval.
You live in St. Johns County, knucklehead.
I mean the Duval sub, the Daily Stash Duval. Turkey, ham, melted cheddar, and habanero jack cheeses. Lettuce, tomato, crispy and fresh, you know, like me. I'm sure there's a Daily Stash sub that sums you up.
The boss.
Because, of course,
oven roasted beef, Munster cheese, roasted mushrooms, caramelized onions. It's the boss of all subs. Only available for me.
That's just not true.
What do you mean? I walked in the other day, screamed, "You know it!" and said, "A boss for a boss."
Well, no matter who you are, there is a Daily Stash sandwich or sub for you.
Go find yours. They may even make you a boss.
I'm sure they will, because it is Daily Stash.
Where more is better.
And you got that right.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
It's a Stanley Pools Thursday on The Frangie Show. Since 1988, the experts in pools, pavers, screen enclosures, it's Stanley Pools.
All right, we did till 4 o'clock this afternoon. Frank Frangie traveling to Atlanta. Rick Ballou and Hays Carlyon. And J.J. LaSalva, who every time I talk to him, he's always giving away stuff. What do you have today?
Today I have a floral arrangement delivery from Kuhn Flowers.
Wow. Now let's give this to someone who's in trouble, right? Because when you hand out flowers, for the most part, aren't you in trouble? Unless it's a funeral.
I thought you were talking about me, so I get the flowers.
Me? Oh, you?
I'm in trouble. I need the flowers.
Yeah. Let's all right, let's do this. We'll take the first answer. You get to talk to JJ. We just heard from West Durham. Who was his dad?
Leon Durham.
It is not Leon Durham.
Dang. Loves
it's
Leon
not,
Durham.
yeah. Absolutely. The baby bull.
Yeah. Watched him every day.
Bouncing ball up the. It's always up the first base bag with a former Cub, Bill Buckner, when he made that error in '86 against the Mets and the Red Sox. But Leon Durham made a pretty big error as well in the early '80s.
Yeah.
For the Chicago Cubs. Who is Wes Durham's dad, and what school was he a legendary broadcaster for?
That's tough.
One of the best in the biz during his era. I think this audience will pick that up, though. First caller, 641-1010. Get to talk to J.J. LaSelva and collect your prize from Kuhn Flowers. ESPN, since we just talked college football, Georgia, number 1 seed.
Yeah.
Ohio State, number 2 seed. Yep. Florida State, a 3 seed. Some people would argue that Utah.
It seems like the perception is Georgia, Ohio State, big gap to everybody else.
How about Utah?
Yeah.
Coming right into the Big 12, and it's like...
Well, we've seen them up close here, obviously opening with Florida the last 2 years, and frankly, they should have won both games. They won last year in their house convincingly. So, yeah, I think Utah has really gained... That's why those home and homes help you, particularly if you're a program like that. Because I think in the South, people watched Florida and Utah both years. And I think now people have a deeper appreciation for their program, and they're tough. They are a physical, tough team.
Utah going to the Big 12 and winning it is a story, but it's like, okay, it's still a basketball conference, especially with Texas and Oklahoma out. However, if Texas and Oklahoma, either one of those teams, Texas much higher ranked right now, was to win the SEC, or if Oregon was to come in and win the Big Ten, can you imagine the outcry if that happened in year one?
It'll be amazing to see. I don't anticipate either one of those things happening. I think Texas will be slightly disappointing. I don't think massively, but I don't think they'll contend for I don't think they'll play for the SEC title. And Oregon could be really good. I just think Ohio State did what Michigan did. They have basically said, whatever it takes, here are blank checks. Go get us the talent. Here are blank checks for the players we already have that might be thinking of leaving to go into the draft and be first, second round picks. Give them whatever it takes to keep them in Columbus. To me, Ohio State is all in after seeing Michigan win the national title. So I think Ohio State's going to win the Big Ten. I like Oregon. I think they'll be in the playoff. But yeah, I mean, it certainly could happen where you see these rookies win their league, but I don't think you're going to see it. Utah could, but part of that's because I pay no attention to the Big 12 at all. So I respect Utah. It might be the only program in that conference that I have like a healthy respect for. So that you could see happen. I don't think you're going to see the SEC or Big Ten champion be a rookie.
Utah probably should have gone to the Big Ten. They play a Big Ten style of football, really in the ditch, but they could dominate here in the Big 12. And, we just mentioned this with Wes Durham going back and forth and talking about how different it's going to be with this college football playoff. But I've always been one of those who believes you have to look at a returning starting quarterback. That is so huge in college football. Georgia's the number 1 seed. You look at the other teams, okay? It's the now addition of guys with plenty of starts coming from another school. Will Howard's going to start at Ohio State. He's played a ton of football at Kansas State. DJ Uiagalelei has 40 career starts at Florida State. Cam Rising is a guy that you thought forever was going to play. Tim Brando had like 5 or 6 Utah games last year. We talked about it every week. Is he going to go? Is he not going to give it a go? He finally comes back and he returns. Then you go to Texas at 5. You have Ewers. Then you go to Oregon. And JJ and I were talking about this yesterday. I don't know if you saw it, but the latest installment of the Heisman Trophy came out. Right now, Dylan Gabriel is number 1 to win the Heisman Trophy. He's going to throw it for 4,000 plus yards with the Ducks.
Sure. Now again, they've got to get used to a different league, and that can complicate things. I wouldn't take Gabriel to win the Heisman. I was surprised that the odds went there with it. But certainly we saw what Bo Nix did there. But look, I mean, Bo Nix may end up being a special player. I mean, Denver loves him.
And he was laughed at Auburn.
He should have been. He was terrible at Auburn.
Yeah, he made a lot of mistakes at Auburn.
Yeah, I was stunned that he became the player that he became. But to your point, he developed. You just never know. Look at Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, when he was 21 years old, no one wanted him. He wasn't any good. Then he found what made him great, late in his career at Cal, and then obviously ends up having what's going to go down as a Hall of Fame NFL career. Quarterbacks develop at different times, more maybe than maybe starting pitchers in baseball are sort of like that too. You could probably speak to that more than I could, but quarterbacks, it's tough. You never know when that jump is going to come. Look at Joe Burrow. At Ohio State, he was an afterthought.
Yeah.
Transfers to LSU, was okay his first year, wasn't anything spectacular, and then the next year he puts up one of the best seasons we've ever seen. So you just don't know. But the experience factor, to me, leads you to believe that could enable a big jump for a player like DJU. He's with probably the best head coach that from an offensive standpoint that he's had, and Mike Norvell. He does have the experience. Could he take that big jump? Bo Nix was able to take that jump because when he arrived at Oregon, he'd played a ton of football at Auburn.
And I think when it was all said and done, Bo Nix has the most career starts in the history of the NCAA at quarterback. I mean, it's incredible. All right, so Georgia, Ohio State, 1-2, Florida State, 3, Utah, 4. According to ESPN, they get the 4 byes. And you get a 5-12 matchup in Austin, Texas hosting Boise State. All right, number 6, Oregon, out in tough place to play out there for Penn State. Instead of the scenario that Wes saw in one of his mocks, now Penn State's got to go all the way out and play Oregon. 7-10, Notre Dame, Miami.
How good would that be?
In South Bend.
How good would
Okay, so these already talking about Florida State's got a night game the third weekend of November at Notre Dame. This would be, the second weekend of December.
Yeah.
Right? So it's going to be
Frigid.
freezing in South Bend.
Yes.
And you get number 10 Miami going to number 7 Notre Dame. Another very interesting situation with Riley Leonard, who had a nice season when he was healthy at Duke. He is now the quarterback at Notre Dame. We know that certainly Miami has Cam Ward. And then number 8, Ole Miss hosting number 9, Alabama.
Yeah, and that's where it gets interesting. You were talking about this with Wes, and I agree. Ole Miss and Alabama don't play in the regular season. I do think they'll try to avoid that, though. Pitting SEC versus SEC or Big Ten versus Big Ten, I don't think you're going to see that unless their hands are just tied. And it's just going to be hard to move somebody that far off of the line that they deservedly have. But look, I mean, I think, to me, what they have done with this, December for me was always kind of a yawn month. You still obviously are intrigued by the NFL, but the luster is sort of worn off. You're still kind of, when you start December, you still have 6 weeks left in the NFL year, so you're still not really getting into the crunch of the playoff race. But with this, December becomes one of the best sports months. I mean, it is going to be incredible. The action, these home environments, seeing these teams, it pains me as a Gator because, I mean, it may be years before Florida's a factor in any of this, and it's so much fun. I mean, to think about an opponent coming into the Swamp. I'm sure for you to think about an opponent going into Doak. Now, obviously, if you're Florida State, you hope you win the ACC, and you don't have that. You just get the bye, and your first game's at a big time bowl site. But it is going to be such a phenomenal month for college football fans. It is going to take December to a totally different level. I cannot wait for it. As we wrap this up, as far as ESPN's college football 12-team projection, Boise State's a small conference team. That should have been our June Flowers question of the day. What conference is Boise State in? Yeah. All right. Do we have a winner, by the way, for our...
We do. Congratulations, Gregory, and congratulations to Gregory's wife.
Well done.
Woody Durham.
Well, I mean, do we even know the answer to the Boise State question, though?
No, that's why I seriously asked.
Is it Mountain West? I have no idea.
That's what they were.
Is it the WAC?
I have no idea what
the WAC's been gone forever. All right, so here's what we have. Notre Dame is in.
They are in the Mountain West, sorry.
The Mountain West, yeah. 7 at large. Notre Dame is in. You have Texas, Ole Miss and Alabama. So you have 3 SEC at-larges. Yeah. You have 2 from the Big Ten in Oregon and Penn State, and you get 1 from the ACC in Miami, and you have Notre Dame as an independent. There's your 12th team.
Were you surprised Notre Dame agreed to this format where they can, even if they go 12-0, the highest they can be is the 5?
Yes, because they don't play in a championship game. That championship game is taxing because the importance of winning that championship game, that defines the champion of the conference. You can be 12-0 and take on an 8-4, and if that 8-4 wins, it's the championship team that gets one of the top 4 seeds. So screw Notre Dame. You know, I mean, Notre Dame's always the exception to the rule, right?
Yeah.
So I'm glad that they play one less game. And in the magnitude of things, it's almost like they get a bye. They do. Everyone else is going to play on that conference championship Saturday. Notre Dame gets a bye. Think about how important a bye is, especially that time of year. So,
do you think they'll stick with this format where the conference champions get the 1 through 4, or do you think they'll get to the NCAA tournament style where it's you're in as a conference champion, but you may be the 9 seed, you may be the you're not guaranteed necessarily that you're going to be the 4 seed.
Yeah, I would take the higher ranked team. And that's an argument that we've heard forever. You know, just look at the AFC South. 3 years ago, it was the weakest division in the NFL. Probably was 2 years ago. And you can make the point that, Jacksonville gets in with a 9-8 record, right? There are other teams that have 10 or 11 wins. Should you rank the playoffs based on wins? No, you got to give the 8 divisional winners a championship. Let's come back and talk a little bit more about that. Your thoughts as well on the text line, 641-1010. Brought to you by Lifetime Enclosures, the home of the Jaguars. You're listening to 1010 on the AM 92.5 FM.
It's the ride home with the Frangie Show. From the Harrell and Harrell studio, don't settle for less than you deserve.
Frank Frangie here. This summer, happiness is a new Chevy, like a new Chevy Silverado from Nimnick Chevrolet. This month, you can save up to $10,000 off a new Silverado. For well-qualified buyers, you can get rates as low as 1.9% financing on all new Silverado 1500 models. Your perfect truck is waiting for you at Nimnick Chevrolet. Shop online at nimnickchevy.com or visit the dealership located at the corner of Park Street and Cassett Avenue. Who's got more new Silverados at the best prices? Nobody but Nimnick Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
On tour across North America, Jane's Addiction. With Love and Rockets. August 27th, Daly's Place. Jane's Addiction. With Love and Rockets. Together Live. On sale now at livenation.com.
No new tale to tell.
Frank Frangie here for Stanley Pools. You know, pool design has come a long way, and if your pool is outdated, Stanley Pools specializes in bringing older pools up to date for the whole family to enjoy. That's why I did it a few years ago, and man, I love the way my pool looks now after we added travertine pavers and so much else. Stanley Pools has been serving our community since 1988, so call them today at 269-7277 or find them online at stanleypoolsfl.com. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools.
What defines a hero? Dedication, loyalty, courage. Every day at AMCO, we serve heroes. For over 60 years, we've repaired and maintained the most critical public service vehicles. From complex transmissions to simple brake jobs with flexible financing and the extra safety precautions we need. The heroes we serve don't all wear uniforms. They're people like you. At AMCO, we're proud to serve all of you. AA MCO.
Money tight? We can finance almost anybody. Find the AMCO transmissions nearest you at amcojacksonville.com.
Firefighters, paramedics, police officers, they take care of us, and at AMCO, we're proud to take care of them. For over 60 years, we've repaired and maintained the most critical public service vehicles. As an essential business, we work on every kind of car repair with flexible financing and extra safety precautions. Essential, reliable, trusted. That's the men and women who are there for us, and it's our honor to be there for them. AA MCO.
Family owned and operated in Jacksonville, Orange Park, St. Augustine, and St. Mary's, Georgia. AMCO Transmissions and Total Car Care.
Nothing came easy, and he wouldn't have it any other way. It's blue-collar line of scrimmage football. I'm Tom McManus, and I join Jaguars Today, Fridays from 10 to noon.
Brought to you by Renewal by Anderson Windows and Doors on 1010XL.
Frank Frangie here. These days, it's hard to know which companies to trust. But when it comes to banking, I trust South State Bank. South State truly values its customers, and they work hard to create meaningful, lasting relationships. I love going into my local branch. I see the same smiling faces I've seen for years. South State is the largest bank headquartered in Florida, so they're able to offer all the banking services you need. You can trust South State Bank. Banking forward. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today from GFL, Green for Life.
Craving a cold one? Well, zip into one of the great gate locations you see all over town and pick up a cold Bud Light, or a Natty, or an Ultra, maybe a 12-pack of the King of Beers, or some cold Coronas. It's all happening at your local gate convenience store. Slide on in today.
Daytona always brings the drama.
Everything's on the line. The risk will be higher.
3 wide.
Look how insane this is.
Gunning to keep playoff hopes alive. It's now or never.
It's the most stressful night of racing that you'll ever go through.
For an unforgettable weekend of family fun, high wattage star power, and a front row seat full of fireworks. NASCAR weekend at Daytona International Speedway, August 23rd and 24th. Get your tickets now at DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com.
Bueller Air and Plumbing presents Are You Cool?
Today's challenger, an asphalt marketer from Jacksonville, Florida. Meet Sheldon Fish. Today's category, air conditioner repair experts in Jacksonville, Florida.
Oh, I bet it's going to be Bueller.
Your question. Unlike Jacksonville, the Sahara Desert has a complete lack of air conditioner repair experts. What kind of camels do they ride?
That's not really a question about air conditioner repair.
5 seconds.
But that's a camel question.
Pick a camel, Sheldon.
Arabian dromedary. That's right, Sheldon. Like the majestic Arabian dromedary, the skilled technicians at Bueller Air and Plumbing can repair any make and model of air conditioner the same day you call, making sure you are cool. They don't spit, do they?
No, but Steve, the new guy, has a bit of a hump.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Lauren Brooks here from Mayport CNC Fisheries. At my house, we had a feast from Mayport CNC Fisheries with the freshest shrimp around, and it was unbelievable. They also have oysters, scallops, mahi, and so much more. Want to eat like a local? Head to the beach and visit my friends at Mayport CNC Fisheries.
This is Dr. James Perry, Assistant Team Physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jaguars, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
Brian Thomas Jr. is quickly becoming one of the most anticipated players on this 2024 roster. Thomas Jr. has showed electric speed, route running, and ball catching skills through his first 2 games of the preseason. Here's offensive coordinator Press Taylor on BTJ's abilities.
Guys get defended based on the reputation. People are going to know he's a 4-2 guy. And so he's going to get that respect in some aspects. So it's how does he utilize it every single route? It could be a 6-yard route. Can we get him to sell speed from the jump? And then it's just kind of him owning each route and what it looks like. It's going to look different on one side than it does on the other based on who's running the route.
Thomas Jr. and the starters should receive a fair amount of playing time in their final preseason game, taking on the Falcons in Atlanta tomorrow night. I'm Max Fink with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air, Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since '87.
All right, thank you very much. 17 trades were made in the National Football League a year ago in the month of August. Will Trent Baalke pull the trigger? Does he have some guys right now that could interest other teams? And Hays, I think there's room for a veteran offensive lineman here. I know they're hard to come by. I'd like to say I think there's room for a veteran pass rush defensive end here, but you're never going to find anyone there of any real serious potential. What do you believe? Trent Baalke's made a lot of deals since he's been here.
He has. I certainly think that you will see the cuts list get released early so that the other 31 clubs can look over and see if there's anybody that they would be interested in making a trade for. So I see it more that the Jaguars will acquire a pick by trading a guy that they're going to cut, probably a lineman. I certainly could see them making a move, but they don't seem to be looking to upgrade their roster. I mean, when I say that, they seem to be content with what they have. Now, we'll see what happens tomorrow night. Could you lose a guy or two in that game to injury that makes you rethink your depth at a place?
Listen to what Wes Durham said about Atlanta.
Yeah,
Losing
37 guys.
3 guys. Yeah, but 3 guys went down.
3 guys went down.
Yeah.
And they're sitting 37 guys, which gets back to our point of I worry about the intensity difference in this game with the Jaguars, who are just trying to get in a rhythm, going against guys that aren't nearly on their level, but might be putting on the gear for their final time.
Yeah.
That's dangerous to me. That I just would not want to put, again, I'm not saying sit 37 guys, but I'd probably sit, 7 or 8 of my guys that are fully healthy, and anybody that's a question mark, they'd be inactive.
All right, we got 3 minutes left. Let's do Jaguars, 30 seconds apiece. Number one thing you're looking for tomorrow night, I'll go first. I want Tank Bigsby. I want ETN on the sideline. I don't want him playing. I want Tank Bigsby running behind the starting 5 offensive linemen.
Yeah, I think it's a great call, and I think you'll see a lot of that. Tank's done a nice job, and they need to get that offensive line gelling. I think that's the number one thing. Can the offensive line hold up? Defensively, I think I would just say, no missed assignments, MAs, as the coaches over there say. Does the defense, they really should shut them down. It's what Taylor Heineke is the guy they're going against, and obviously you're not seeing Drake London and Pitts and Bijan. So I would say, obviously, from a physical standpoint, the Jaguars defense should hold Atlanta to a very meager number. But the communication aspect of it, this is the last time you're out there. You cannot have communication breakdowns against the Dolphins. It's going to the house if you do.
Yep.
So you've got to be airtight with that. So I think for me, secondary, do they play with the right communication throughout?
All right, right back to you, because it's 3:50. In 48 hours, Florida State fans will either be as happy as a pig and you-know-what, or pounding a wall somewhere. How do you see the game Saturday between Florida State and Tech?
I think happy for the Noles, a little bit of relief. I think it's a game maybe with 8, 9, 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter, but ultimately I think Florida State wins the game by 13.
Yeah, I like Florida State as well. I wouldn't bet it. Again, it's a 10.5 and 11.5 point favorite as far as Florida State is concerned. I just think they need to relax and run the ball. They have 5 great backs, and they have an offensive line. I know all the pressure is going to be on DJU and whether or not he can pass that football, and that's going to be especially intriguing. But I like Florida State as well. I don't feel confident. If I was forced to make a bet here, I would take Tech. Again, they were 7-2 as an underdog against the spread last year, and they have 13 wins as an underdog. 13 covers, I should say, not wins, but covering the spread 13 times the last 2 years as an underdog. That's the most in college football.
The under looks good too, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I've seen some, it's like 56.5, and I've seen some people think that it's going over. I'm like, man, am I missing? I tell you where it goes over if you have pick sixes. If you have fumbles inside, your 25-yard line, you're short in the field. And for what it's worth, that would be how Florida State would lose. Turn the ball over and give Georgia Tech the short field. I trust Mike Norvell here. I think Florida State wins, but I'm going to say it's a 24-17 type of ball game. I think Tech does cover.
Well, it's such an odd trip. Just go over there, get the win, and get home.
JJ, who wins Saturday afternoon?
I like Florida State by 14 to 17 points. I think they'll cover. I think it'll be pretty close throughout the game, but I think they're just going to have DJU run the hell out of the ball and wear them down, and towards the end of the game, score to cover.
All right.
I like Florida State.
There you have it. We had a program change today. Frank Frangie is on his way to Atlanta. We have Jaguars programming coming up right now. We'll be back on Monday. You'll be here from 4 until 6, and I'll be with you at 6 o'clock on Monday. Hacker will take over at 6 o'clock here tonight. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Hays Carlyon. Thank you to JJ LaSelva. Thank you to our guest, Wes Durham, as well. My name is Rick Ballou. Enjoy all of the games. I will talk with you Monday at 6 o'clock right here in your home, the Jazz.